All right, our next speaker is Lacie Lloyd with Realm of Caring. We talked about building teams. We talked about compounding pharmacy. Of course, we're in Colorado, so you can't go to a conference without talking about cannabis. So the idea here is, though, we could have probably talked to 1 million distributors or dispensaries, they call them here. But instead, I thought we'd bring in somebody an organization that is unbiased, strictly educational. Their role is to coach you through how to use cannabis, when to use cannabis, and other modalities. So with that being said, I want to introduce Lacie Lloyd with Realm of Caring.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for your interest in this topic. A little bit about myself. I've been in the cannabis industry for about 5 years now. I started as a bud tender, then I moved into being a brand ambassador for several cannabis companies, and now work for a wonderful 501c3 nonprofit called Realm of Caring, and we're able to provide individualized care plans for individuals that are looking for cannabis therapy options. So I'm a caregiver also for a disabled veteran, so I have a personal story and tie to cannabis and how it's helped my family and how I've seen it helped other people with chronic pain, PTSD, as well as traumatic brain injury. So yeah, I'm really glad to be a part of this journey and part of the cannabis story as well. Before I get started, I just want to let you know that there's a brief disclaimer. The Realm of Caring Foundation specifically invokes the First Amendment rights of freedom of speech and the press without prejudice. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, and the products discussed are not intended to diagnose, cure, prevent, or treat any disease. Realm of Caring also recommends when and wherever possible that licensed local healthcare professionals be consulted. The Realm of Caring Foundation is an independent nonprofit with its own governing board, and we do not produce or sell cannabinoid products, nor do we receive funds from the sale of other companies' products. So what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to have a brief Realm of Caring overview, who we are, what we do, our mission, etc. Quality of life guide at Realm of Caring, the research initiatives and research library available, CBD, THC, and terpenes, CBD from hemp versus CBD from marijuana, the endocannabinoid system, administration and half-lives, the Entourage Effect, quality products, side effects, potential interactions, and safety, how to talk with your healthcare provider. You can also create a free client account with Realm of Caring by going to our website, therock.us/clients. You'll find a plethora of resources there. So the Realm of Caring, like I said, is an independent 501c3 nonprofit, and we are redefining the way we talk about cannabis by collaborating on innovative research, providing revolutionary education, and empowering people to lead better lives. Our name's actually an acronym. REALM stands for Research, Education, Advocacy, Improving Lives Through Measurable Results. A brief overview of our services. We serve over 58,000 clients worldwide, and we provide detailed guides to CBD, how to talk to your healthcare provider, guides to using cannabinoid oils, helpful videos, orientations, client forums, and we also have grant programs and relocation programs for people that don't live in cannabis states. We have resources for physicians. We currently serve over 1,400 healthcare professionals, and we also provide literature reviews and resources to help healthcare providers and their patients. And we also have community resources. We educate police facilities, fire offices, grassroots political efforts, family support services, and more. I wanted to talk about our demographics briefly. If you've ever heard of Charlotte's Web or Charlotte Figgy, from Weed 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 specials, but Sanjay Gupta, Realm of Caring was the grassroots effort for starting that movement and the ability for people to come to Colorado to have access to medical cannabis. So we used to serve mostly pediatric clients. Over time, our demographics have actually shifted to adults, having the highest call or inquiry volume being pain, and still for children, seizure disorders. When you contact Realm of Caring, we're going to ask you a series of questions like, what are your medical conditions or symptoms that you're experiencing? What does research suggest for cannabinoid therapy and your specific condition? The use of pharmaceutical medications and your current weight. We're also going to be asking you about your personal goals, any pros or cons that might be posing in your therapy. Where do you live? And then let's get started. And we'll provide an individualized care plan for you or your family members or whoever's looking for those types of resources. If you're looking for research, Realm of Caring is currently enrolling in 5 studies. We have the largest research registry in the United States in conjunction with Johns Hopkins University. It's called the Observational Research Registry. We're enrolling anyone that's using cannabinoid therapy or not. We also have other research projects like a metabolite study. Essentially, it's a P study to show what's the likelihood of testing positive using cannabinoid products like hemp. CBD products. We also have a current NFL and former player athlete study, adult epilepsy study, and PTSD study at Harvard. If you're looking for research articles, Realm of Caring has a research library. We have over 600 research articles for a multitude of conditions. We also have a research library specific for pain. We have over 35 peer-reviewed literature resources if you're looking for specific studies for pain. If you're looking for international resource, a great resource is Cannabis Med or domestic research from the government, pubmed.gov. So what is cannabis? Cannabis has had over 400 chemical compounds identified. 65 plus of those compounds are specific to the cannabis plant, known as cannabinoids or phytocannabinoids. For example, tetrahydrocannabinol, which is THC, tetrahydrocannabivarin, THCV, cannabidiol, CBD, cannabichromene, CBC, and cannabigerol. What's really interesting about this graph is that it's showing cannabinoids in its raw state. So if you were just to use a raw cannabis plant in its natural form, all of the compounds would still be found in an acid. You could actually eat the bud or the leaves of the cannabis plant by juicing them, and they have their own medical benefits. If you heat them by combustion or vaporization, it turns into THC, for example. So THCA would turn into a psychoactive compound called THC. And if you further degrade THC, it will turn into another compound called CBN. So cannabis, as we know it, is a very complex plant, and through various stages can have different results or different medicinal benefits. What is CBD and what is THC? CBD is a major phytocannabinoid from the cannabis plant, which is non-addictive, and research has shown that it has more than 52 mechanisms of action, which are its therapeutic benefits. THC is also a phytocannabinoid uniquely found on the cannabis plant. THC, however, works by binding to cannabinoid receptors concentrated in the brain and the central nervous system to produce psychoactive effects. As you can see, structurally they are very similar, but they have very different benefits and the way they work in our bodies. What's the difference between hemp-derived CBD and cannabis-derived CBD? Well, cannabis and hemp are biologically the same plant. CBD derived from hemp, however, contains less than 0.3% THC versus cannabis, as known as marijuana, contains more than 0.3% THC. So hemp derived from CBD products is not designed to get people high or inebriated. However, it is possible to produce a positive drug test when using whole plant hemp extracts because the trace amounts of THC consumed is stored in the fatty tissue in the body. And fun fact, it can take upwards of 30 days to actually rid the body of THC. Hemp can be purchased and used in all 50 states and even in some countries like Canada and in Europe. However, access to medical or recreational cannabis requires your state to establish cannabis dispensaries or licensed caregivers to dispense products with higher THC amounts. What is the entourage effect? So we mentioned whole plant extractions, and whole plant extractions typically include CBD, THC, and more than 400 trace compounds. The synergy amongst those compounds is called the entourage effect. The combined action magnifies the therapeutic benefits of the plant's individual components. CBD isolates, known as CBD-only products, uses one out of the hundreds of compounds that are meant to work together to produce homeostasis, also known as balance in the body. Broad-spectrum products contain a whole plant profile but contain 0% THC. If THC is prohibitive due to drug tests, broad-spectrum or isolate products may reduce the chances of THC detection. However, there are no guarantees that the particular extractions mentioned will not produce a positive drug test. Any cannabis product can pose positive drug tests. So how does cannabis work? Cannabis works directly with the endocannabinoid system, also known as the ECS, which is a network of receptors located in the brain and throughout the nervous system. It's the body's way of maintaining and regulating homeostasis in the body, which is crucial to all of our body's functions. If you see the keys, THC, CBD, and sometimes CBN are known as lock and key mechanisms within the body. So they're meant to work with our bodies because we actually produce endogenous cannabinoids. And sometimes when our bodies don't produce enough cannabinoids, we can have medical conditions arise because our bodies are not in balance. So THC, CBD, cannabis in general, works with our bodies to return it to a state of balance. So that's the goal, is when you're using cannabis therapy, it may or may not be something that's lifelong. You might be able to actually regulate your body by using cannabis and actually wean yourself off of cannabis over time. But the goal is to return yourself back into homeostasis as soon as possible. So just to go over that slide again, the previous slide in more detail, the endocannabinoid system interacts with these other regulatory systems in our body. So I mentioned the CB1 and CB2 receptors. You can see that they're located in all of our body's functions, including our brain, our lungs, our liver, our colon, our bones, our muscles, everywhere. So the CB1 receptors controls our central nervous system, sleep, pain, memory, mood, smell, appetite, liver activity, cardiovascular activity, and gastrointestinal activity as well. CB2 receptors work on our peripheral nervous system, our immune system, our gastrointestinal activity, as well as our brain activity. So you can see that it's extremely important for our body to be in balance and for those CB1 and CB2 receptors to be working in harmony. I want to drive in also other mechanisms of action. CBD interacts with other non-endocannabinoid receptors. The summary of this slide, if you look to the right, is the neurological and immune modulation and the actual synopsis of what happens in our bodies. Evidence shows that CBD works in the following brain receptors. As I mentioned, CB1 neuromodulation, CB2 modulation, 5-HT1A receptors, which drives our antidepressant and anti-anxiety naturally in our bodies, endogenous opioid receptors, GABA, which is gamma-aminobutyric acid, which is an amino acid in the body that acts as a neurotransmitter. It also decreases glutamate, regulates CA2 channels, which is a calcium channel, modulates ion channels, enhances adenosine, which is an endogenous anti-inflammatory, and also acts with other receptors with neuroprotective effects. So how do terpenes affect the ECS, THC, and CBD? So terpenes are essentially essential oils. They're aromatic components which comprises a plant smell or odor. It's mainly made in the cannabis plant's flower bud. It's also found in many plants and foods like black pepper, cinnamon, and citrus fruits. Terpenes affects modulation on the ECS system, especially the uptake of THC, CBD, and other phytocannabinoids. So A-pinene, which is mainly found in pine needles, for example, has anti-inflammatory effects. It's a bronchodilator, aids in memory, and has antibacterial properties. You'll also see linalool, which is found in lavender, beta-caryophyllene, which is found in black pepper, actually works on our CB1 receptors, myrcene, found in hops, and hops is a close cousin to the cannabis plant, and limonene, which is also found in citrus. So all of these terpenes are naturally found in the cannabis plant, and when combined with the other compounds like CBD, THC, and other trace cannabinoids, it also produces the Entourage Effect. So all that's fine and dandy, but how does cannabis potentially alleviate Crips? CB2 receptors play a significant role in neuroinflammation. We have been able to locate some research articles, if you look on the slide, but they're mainly found in rat studies. What we need is human studies. So even though there's plenty of anecdotal accounts, we are able to draw conclusions, potentially being able to reduce pain and inflammation by regulating CB2 receptors, but we do need to see more research in not only animals, but in humans as well. So it's extremely important that we continue our quest for research and knowledge. So if you're interested in joining research, now is the time, because this is what's driving our research initiatives, and as well as driving what is being published and what is being shared with our doctors and pharmacists, which is what is educating them to prescribe or subscribe therapies for people. So it's definitely a synergistic effect. To expand, how might cannabis alleviate Crips? If you look at the chronic pain cycle, muscle tension, reduced circulation, muscle inflammation, reduced movement, which equals pain. And if you sprinkle in depression, anxiety, and other co-occurring comorbidity issues, then it becomes even more complicated. Heightened pain perception, however, can be rooted mainly in malfunctioning neurological systems or structural problems, including peripheral nerve abnormalities, but can also arise from chronic inflammation, which is typically the main pain as a primary symptom. This may indicate a compromised immune system, which regulates inflammation in the body. Research suggests CBD is a strong anti-inflammatory that can regulate pain on a cellular level. Cannabinoids like CBD may also help to alleviate pain by targeting and activating glycine receptors in the central nervous system. Glycine receptors are located in various regions of the brain and spinal cord and play an important role in reducing chronic inflammatory pain and neuropathic pain. When inflammatory factors such as prostaglandins are present, they often shut down these receptors, which increases the sensation of pain, but CBD can reactivate these receptors and decrease pain hypersensitivity. So, what is a quality product and how do you get started? Well, Realm of Caring has comprised a consumer checklist. You can find this checklist on our website. And this is a summary of the 14-page summary that we send. Actually, it's an application that we send to CBD companies or cannabis companies if they want to become a quality product that we support. I actually go out and visit the grows and the labs and the facilities that these companies are using to make sure that they are quality. So we actually do support quality brands like Charlotte's Web, Mary's Nutritionals, Elixinol, for example. So we've actually vetted these companies for quality. So if you're looking for quality products, we have done the homework for you. If you're wanting to just check out quality products while you're shopping online, please use this resource. The fact is, cannabis is safe. It's very safe. However, not ensuring consistency, proper labeling, and testing can cause inadvertent effects. So we look at the American Herbal Products Association guidelines, good manufacturing practices, and self-regulation, which is third-party testing. It's your right as a consumer to request batch reports, also known as certificates of analysis, when you're purchasing products to ensure that what you're purchasing is quality and has been tested, and you can actually see the cannabinoid profile of the product itself. Are CBD products regulated? At this time, they're not. Has a study been done labeling accuracy of cannabidiol extracts sold online. You can actually look this study up. The problem is inadequate regulation and oversight of products and inaccurate labeling across the board. So in this study, they purchased 84 products. 69% of those products were mislabeled, more or less CBD content, and 31% were accurately labeled, which is a scary thought considering that CBD is now sold in grocery stores and gas stations and just about anywhere, MLMs. So it's extremely important that you're asking for those batch reports and actually verifying that what you're getting is safe and has been tested. Fun fact, New York City actually plans on starting to fine restaurants that are using CBD in drinks and food and drinks because they're not FDA approved or regulated. So it's extremely important to be mindful of what you're putting in your body. So what are the side effects of cannabis? We get this question a lot. Although not everyone's experience comes with side effects or adverse reactions, it is important to know that there are potentials. Chronic use in high doses of up to 1,500 milligrams of CBD per day was reported well tolerated in humans. CBD itself is non-toxic, and the reported side effects when first starting CBD has been an increase in sleep or lethargy, an increase or decrease in appetite. Typically, for example, people with cancer are seeing an increase in appetite, and they're able to actually keep their food down. It's an antiemetic, so it's really important. So it kind of depends on who you ask if an increase or decrease in appetite is important. Nausea, upset stomach, diarrhea, and vomiting may be indications that the CBD doses are too high. And this is typically known as oversaturation. Sometimes it's too much carrier oil that's being ingested at one time, which may cause diarrhea. It's typically the oils. So being mindful of those administration methods is important. THC does have intoxicating effects, as you know, and can potentially increase anxiety, especially people that are already prone to anxiety. Increases in sleep or lethargy have also been reported, an increase in appetite, and an increase in dry mouth or red eyes. Rashes or anything medically significant may indicate drug interactions. So are there potential drug interactions? Yes, there are. CBD is metabolized in the liver by the CYP2C19 enzyme in the body, and some medications also use that pathway when being metabolized in the liver. So from realm of caring's perspective and what research is suggesting, we suggest spacing CBD and cannabis in general 2 to 4 hours before or after pharmaceutical medications to reduce the likelihood of drug interactions. If you're looking for specifics, you can also ask your pharmacist or doctor if or how these medications can interact in the body. You can also use a handy tool called drugbank.ca to find medication pathways as well. Blood serum testing can determine medication levels in the body, and you can repeat this test every 6 to 8 weeks until patterns are formed. And sometimes this test can be a catalyst for weaning schedules. So if it's a goal of yours to reduce or remove medications from your regimen, this test is a way to do so and replace their medication with cannabis. I've personally assisted many people replacing their medication with cannabis. It can be done. It does take time, but it is a potential. Is CBD safe? Yes. What CBD does not do is get you high, become addictive, or cause withdrawals or dependency issues. And typical misconceptions about CBD is that you need to wean CBD. You don't have to wean yourself off. If you stop CBD, it just metabolizes out of your body within 72 hours. So there's really not a risk of starting and stopping CBD if that's what you choose to do. You cannot overdose, and CBD is not toxic in any amount. It's actually even less toxic than caffeine. Some special considerations when using cannabis, however, is people that are women that are pregnant or nursing. There's not any research suggesting the safety or efficacy of cannabis in vitro or after birth, or if you're using cannabis, does it get passed to your breast milk? Those questions have not been answered, so we don't really provide any concrete evidence because there is none. Psychiatric illnesses like schizophrenia, for example, and adolescence. I will say, however, that realm of caring started with pediatric clients, and we have seen babies and children that have severe catastrophic malformations or epilepsy, whatever. They have been able to recover and go on a normal track. So we have seen improvements in quality of life in children. So there is research suggesting positive but also negative results. So there is some implications there to be mindful of. I want to just briefly show you the Ld50 chart. LD stands for the lethal dose. This graph compares the toxicity levels of Schedule 1, 2, 3, and 4 substances. The Ld50 is the amount of material given all at once, which causes the death of 50% or 1/2 of a group of test animals. And just briefly, as you can see, marijuana is listed as very non-toxic in comparison to even aspirin, caffeine, tobacco, and then you get into other Schedule 1 drugs like MDMA, cocaine, meth, alcohol, etc. So there's little to no reason why this is still a Schedule 1. It still is, but you can't consume enough cannabis to die is the main goal of this graph. So I just wanted to point and drive that in. I want to briefly talk about administration methods. How do you take this? Sublingual, you can use capsules. Transdermal. Transdermal is really interesting technology because it can actually cross the blood-brain barrier. There's also topicals, vaporizers, suppositories, and you can also use G-tube and J-tubes. Using a combination of sublingual and topical products are really good for pain, especially if you're just using this as a daily supplement, which we do suggest using cannabis daily. So using a combination would be really helpful for you if you're looking for that type of administration method. What's the therapeutic amount and half-life by phasic response? When first starting out on CBD, the half-life is about 9 hours. With continual use, that half-life can build up to about 72 hours. Because of this, short breaks and skipping your daily servings may not affect symptom relief in someone that's been using it for several weeks. This makes it easy for someone to stop taking CBD completely. As I mentioned earlier, it will work very gradually out of the body without any abrupt disruption or dependency. So the goal with this therapy is to find a therapeutic amount with peak benefits or effects at the optimal amount. So the goal is to start low and slow. Administration methods, you can always go into your client account once you register with Realm of Caring and check out our guidelines and calculators. As I mentioned earlier, we suggest taking cannabis 2 to 3 times per day, every day, spacing 2 to 4 hours from pharmaceutical medications. And I just wanted to point out that CBD does work by accumulation and saturation in the system. It's not something you take once or for a week and expect it to work long term. It's something that you have to give up to 6 months to see significant improvements in quality of life. So why slow and steady? Sensitivities, it doesn't make sense to start at 50 milligrams or 100 milligrams if you could see benefits at 5. So it's always important to start low and then work your way up if you need additional relief. Because of the bell curve and biphasic effect, like I mentioned in the previous slide, to go low and slow is to find your therapeutic amount, and that could be at a really low dose. I've assisted full-grown men at 200 pounds finding relief at 10 milligrams of CBD per day. So you don't need extremely high levels of CBD to see improvements. As well as Herxheimer reactions, mainly in regards to Lyme disease. Herxheimer reactions are mainly detoxifying spirochetes, so it's a major detox in the body, so we take special regards for people that are going through detox regimens. Reasonable expectations, how long will this take? Like I mentioned, it can take up to several weeks or several months, allowing up to 6 months. It's not an overnight. Decide what success means for you and your family. Measure pain ratings, scan, sleep, mood, cognition. And you can also use online tools like Relief and GoFire or even an old-fashioned notebook to track your therapy success. As I mentioned in the previous slide, communicating with your physician. In the beginning of the presentation, I mentioned that we have resources for physicians, the rock.us/practitioner portal. If you are a physician yourself and looking for education, we're able to provide that for you at no charge. And if you're looking for your provider to get on the same page as yourself, this is a wonderful opportunity to get them involved. Cannabinoid therapy is one tool in your toolkit. Regular exercise, healthy diet, drinking water, getting some fresh air is extremely important. When you're using cannabinoid therapy, consider a holistic lifestyle and feeding your whole body. Getting enough sleep and having a peace of mind and remaining at your normal weight is also important when you're looking at quality of life. So thank you. We care a lot. It's kind of our thing. If you have any questions, you can always visit our website, therock.us, give us a call or email us. I also have a booth here. If you have further questions or concerns, I'm more than happy to help. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Lacie. We do have time for a couple questions only. Otherwise, then you can catch Lacie, during the day. She's going to be around the rest of the day. Anybody have any questions right off the top? Okay.
Thank you. I was wondering if you could give us any knowledge that you have about traveling with the CBD oil. I looked on the TSA website prior to traveling. There is some mention of it, but it's
Not very straightforward.
not very straightforward. And
Yeah.
I know there was recent legislation as well, which is also equally confusing, so I just thought maybe you could speak to that.
Yeah, so I would say if you're using CBD products, specifically hemp, so less than 0.3% THC, you can use and take care of that product with you with your carry-on. So if you use it, put it in your purse or something like that, you can take it with you. I take my CBD oil with me when I travel, and I have had zero issues. Some people don't want packaging or something like that to be known, so they'll like maybe put their oil or their capsules in another package. There is no law against you traveling with CBD products. However, when you're taking like cannabis bud or weed with you, then that poses a whole nother legal question. Yeah. Yeah, great question.
Thank you for coming and giving us some wonderful information.
Thank you, happy to be here.
You mentioned about CBDs and pharmaceuticals, and I thought I heard you say a 2 to 4 hour window between the taking of those.
Before or after. So if you
Before
take
or
your
after.
medication first, then you have to wait 2 to 4 hours to take your CBD, or vice versa.
Okay, we have time for two more.
It appears there's not a standardized way to know how much CBD is in a bottle that you're buying. Is that going to be improved, or what do you recommend? Some say an amount of CBD, and others give like a volume measurements and things.
Yes.
It's very confusing.
It is very confusing, and it also depends on the lab that's being tested. So the testing labs, there's even some conspiracies, even in the state of Colorado, with labs passing products that have initially failed and have been allowed to be retested. Your best bet is to request that batch report and compare it against what's on your bottle. Realm of Caring is actually able to help you decipher that batch report and your bottles. So if you're having questions about really what's in it, we can do some investigation for you. But that certificate of analysis is going to be really important for that.
Great, thanks. One more question.
Thank you. If you're taking opioids on an opioid protocol and you're subject to random drug testing at your physicians, can you speak to the potential for positive drug results and repercussions?
Yeah, so there's always a potential for testing positive when using any cannabis product, but you're less likely to test positive by using the isolate products that I mentioned or a broad spectrum product that has 0% THC. So if you can find something that has 0% or 0.01% THC, that would be your loophole. Another thing would be to get a script potentially for Marinol, which is medical cannabis that you can actually get prescribed to you from your doctor. So if you ever want to use cannabis, you can do it legally by getting a script from your doctor. And if you ever test it positive, you can do so because you have the script from your doctor. So Marinol might be something to look into as an option for you. Yeah.
Thank you, Lacie. And I'm sure there's other questions, so catch
I'll be
Lacie when you
around.
can. She'll
Happy
be
to
around.
help. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much.